Death be not proud.
What's up, you writing, Marxist, book-burning, bundles of sticks, holy diver here today. So, we've got a lot of ground to cover, so we're just going to get through it. Empire Army is done, but let's go to the health and fitness portion of the video, and then we'll get to some advice for young men. So, basically, health and fitness. Crab meat will raise your testosterone levels. Oysters will raise your testosterone levels. And so you're going to want to eat that at least 3 times a week. Either one. You want to get that. Make sure you're always getting your honey. And then shrimp will lower estrogen in your bloodstream. So that's all you need to know. Shrimp will lower estrogen in males. So there's your dietary advice. We're going to go over some basic gym equipment real quick. So I'm going to take you through the 5 pieces of exercise equipment that every man should own real fast, but let's just narrow it down to 2 pieces. Set of 20-pound dumbbells, and then just a reclinable bench. Just a reclinable bench. I do a lot of sit-ups on this thing. I also do a lot with the 20-pound dumbbells. If you want, you can go as high as 30, but these are the 2 things that you need the most. And look at how much space that takes up. So if you're in your living room, get rid of your love seat, get rid of a couch, and you can have this as your space to do some exercises rather than sit on your couch all day and watch Netflix. So, other than that, I got my punching bag right here. That's pricey. You need a garage or something like that, or a basement to put it in. That was about 300 bucks with tax. Well, 280, so 300 with because of tax. However, if you get a garage, this big tire here is free. You can get these from Les Schwab or any place that does diesel tires. Google it in your area, and this is what you call a drop. You just say, hey, can I have a drop? And you're looking for a steer tire. A big, thick steer tire is what you want. This is what this used to be, a steer tire. And then a hammer at Home Depot, a big Husky, this is a 10-pound sledge. That'll run you about $20. Those weights will run you about $20. And then you can get one of these from a pawn shop fairly easily. There are better ones than this Nautilus. Like this was free. Saw it on the side of the road, picked it up. There you go. Other than that, that's the more advanced setup, so we're not going to get into that, but there you go. Those are the 5 things these are the 5 things right here I can't live without, and that's how I check a lot of my fitness. And here are some basic exercises that I do all the time with that basic equipment. First up, we got the front squats. After that, we've got the shoulder press, mountain climbers, bicep curls, tricep extension, and then you have the diamond push-up. After that, you have the super push-up. So I use those exercises all the time. The diamond push-up will work inside here, but those are really good exercises that you can use all the time, and a lot of them use your own body weight, which is good. Mountain climbers are good for down here, and you really want to build up your leg strength with the squats. Do a lot of squats. You know, you don't need to use heavy weights to get good leg strength. Just do a lot of them. Oh, and then free lunges. That's the last exercise. So those are all the exercises that I'm going to give you. Start there, and if you have some results, let me know about it in the comments section. Other than that, if you're one of my heavier set friends, set yourself to walking. The thinnest I ever got, I walked 7 miles a day, but that was, I believe, 120 minutes on the treadmill at a 10 incline with 1-pound weights in each hand. So that's the thinnest I ever got, was walking 7 miles daily. You want to be thin, walk your ass off. You'll be thin. So other than that, let's get to some projects. The Grave Guard are done, and I said that the Empire Army is completely done. I'll flash some photos up there. I'm not ready to preview the army yet, but every time I finish an army, I always get a sense of emptiness in my life. It's like the last It's like the last cup of coffee in the morning. Because when I get to the last cup of coffee in the morning, because I always drink a full pot, I know that the morning's over and that the day is eventually going to come in. And the worst thing is the last cup of coffee represents the afternoon, noon on a Sunday. And I know I'm going to have to go through that rat race again. And I know I don't like going through the rat race. But I was lucky enough to win 30 ghouls, $30. And I don't know if you'll be able to see these, but really easy to paint. Going to give you a recipe for them now. Brown on the base, followed up by U.S. Army green as your primer. Then you're going to take Nurgling green from the Citadel range. This is a layer color right here. And then you can use Athonian camo shade. After all that dries, you're going to take some Mshopti bone on a big old brush like this, and you're going to wipe that off. You're going to wipe the hell out of that off. You only want a little bit. And then you're going to dry brush that Mshopti bone all over them. And then after that, you're going to take trusty, I really like this color, Necromancer cloak from the Army Painter range. You're going to do all your hair and any fabric that you see in Necromancer cloak. You're going to do all the bones, the teeth, the claws, and any bones that they might happen to be holding with the Mshopti bone. If they're holding a rock or a stone in their hands, you're going to do that with the Necromancer cloak. And then you're going to use lead belcher on any of the metal. And then on the stuff that's bone, metal, or hair, or leather, you're going to use snakebite for leather right there. Any of that stuff, you're just going to wash it with Nolan oil. And that's basically it. And then you can base these guys the way you want. I've been down here I painted for 1 hour today, and I finished 6. That's really good. If I can turn these guys out 6 an hour, that's even better for me, because I'm not sure how many I want. I know I want 40, and I also am not sure how many Graveguard I want. I know that I'm not going to go in the direction of anything new that 8th edition brought to the vampire counts, like Crypt Horrors, Vargheists, and Terrorgeists, which is a really interesting army just built of those 3 things out of their own, with the Strigoi Ghoul King leading them. I might do it, I might not. It's really expensive, and it's just more models that I would have to paint inevitably to do, and it's something I don't want to get into. Last but not least, only got 20 more Macedonians left to paint, left to repaint. I have, with those 10 done, I have let's see here. How about we just say I have 180 models that I want to get finished by the end of the summer. That'll include my Pike and Shot for King and Country box set, which means that my Parliament army will consist of three regiments of infantry, which are basically 12 pikemen, 12 handgunners, so 40 guys apiece for each one of those. A 12-man firelock storming party, and then another unit of cavalry, and then the whole army as a whole will be 4 units of cavalry, 3 units of infantry, 1 firelock storming party. I want to get a 3rd cannon, so I'm going to get a 3rd cannon and 1 more commander, because that'll be roughly 2 battalion. So after all of that's done, that'll be it for Pike and Shot. I'm very tempted to do the Bluecoats Regiment with the dashing Prince Rupert of the Rhine jotting down the field going, "The sport begins!" There's just something so cool about a noble who's done nothing his whole life but to train how to kill, and he's squashing the peasant scum with his sword, and he's very handsome while he's doing it, you know? Very handsome. The guy they got in the 1970 film Cromwell was very handsome, and that's how I like to picture the dashing Prince Rupert of the Rhine. And so there's that. I want to turn all my miniatures from a loose collection of figures to fully completed collections of figures. When I was looking at my Empire earlier this summer, back at the beginning of May, back in the middle of May, I started that project in the middle of the May, and I refurbished the entire army. I also commissioned I want to say about 30 guys to be painted for, no, wait a minute. I'm going to say about 40 guys to be painted for that army. About 16 swordsmen, 21 handgunners, and then 2 additional cannons with crew. While I worked on refurbishing my halberdiers and everything, I basically have one left. What am I going to do with 31 halberdiers? So he didn't get done. He's just extra parts. I mean, I could finish him really easily, but I'm just going to leave him at that. And so taking that from a loose collection of miniatures to a full-scale 4,000. Oh, and with the Hippogriff, it's like a 4,263 point army, just off the top of my head when I was just pointing things out. The vampires are at a very close second. They're topping in at about 4,000. Once the ghouls are done, 4,000 for sure. They were about like 3,700 points, and I've got 30 ghouls here, so that's going to be 4,000 no matter what. And then I have to figure out whether or not I'm going to find some Blood Knights for them. And the hard part about that is that I don't want Failcast, but I think Failcast is the way to go because I can probably buy some bits to make these guys look really good and get around certain things that I don't like on the Failcast model. If it were up to me, I would tell, if I ran Games Workshop for a day, things would change and everybody would love Games Workshop again. Trust me, everybody would love Games Workshop again. You know, because I could run things like reprints of models that nobody's seen for a while, you know. I could put things in specialist games again, and it would blow everybody's mind. But you don't want to hear the rantings of an old boomer gamer like me. So other than that, been getting up very early in the morning. I haven't, during the week I've been getting up at about 5, maybe 4:50, 4:30 in the morning, making sure that I'm doing all my workout shit very early in the morning, getting that shit done, and then going to work and then going to bed because I want more time here. And I'm not wasting that time. Every now and then I'll waste a night, but I'm not wasting that time. If I do these guys up tomorrow, that'll make 10 ghouls, and then I can start 10 more ghouls. And that's really not that hard. So, you know, I mean, I don't think that this hobby is for everyone. You know, I really think that if you can't paint 100 models inside of a month, get out. This hobby's not for you. It's not for you. It's never going to be for you. And you're just fooling yourself, and most importantly, you're wasting money. So now, let's get to some advice for young men. Advice for young men. Dating and love advice for a young man. All right. Y'all out there who are 18 to 24, this might not apply to you unless you're really, really good looking, and women will sport fuck you, but that's about it. Other than that, if you're 24 years old and you're a guy, you're most likely broke. Especially in this economy. So basically, what I employ when I date chicks is the 3 red flag systems. What are these red flags that you need to know about? The red flag system is basically divorced. That's a red flag. I can look past the first red flag right there. Has a kid. That's a second red flag. Once you get the second red flag, if she's got another red flag, like a second divorce, it's no dice. Any women who have that have 2 red flags or more, you basically only got one option with them. Neutral park slam it, jam her through all 18 gears, lap her around Wendy's a few times, and then drop her back off in Section 8 housing where you found it, and make sure you don't touch any of the kids. Because if you interact with that child at all, the mother won't take it back. And that is true. So, what have we learned? Neutral park slam it, jam her through all 18 gears, and lap it around Wendy's, and then let this go for about 3 months if she's got 3 red flags. Other than that, don't be a simp, don't be a fucking cuck. I know there are a lot of guys out there. Well, you know, Holy Diver, you know what I'm saying? I gotta get that pussy. I gotta get that pussy, you know what I'm saying? And they're always going up to girls going, excuse me, miss, might I trouble you for a crumb of pussy? Come on, that's what life's all about. You know, and so don't be one of those guys. I was driving in line hauling today with a bigger, fatter, dumber boomer trucker, and I'm focusing on the road, first and foremost. I don't have time to be looking at joggers. Every now and then I'll stop and I'll see something that'll make me take a video of it. Kids that can barely walk across the road. Look at them, they're all like 12 years old. How do you get that fat when you're a kid? Yeah, fat kids walking across the street that can barely walk because, you know, they're 12 years old and they've never been out of the house. That is exactly what I'm talking about. Those kids aren't going through puberty because they're tampon boys. They got so much bitch-made estrogen up in their system that they're growing tits and bellies instead of V-shapes and upwards and getting muscles and getting jacked. No, those guys, they're your Bobby Hill types. Don't be those guys. So, basically, he was just calling out, the one girl I did look at, I looked at her, and I'm like, what the fuck are you, man? A saint? And he's like, hey, man, it don't matter to me as long as it's warm and breathing, I can get by. And you don't want to be that guy. You have to have some standards. Used to be, you go back 120 years ago, if a woman had a divorce on her record, that guy had better have been killed in the war or in a factory accident. Because if she was a divorcee, her social life was done. Finito. Nobody wanted anything to do with her. So all I'm asking you to do is have some standards. Other than that, let's take a look at the graveyard and we'll be back. So here we are looking at the graveyard and everything, and got some advice for you. When you're using these transfers, some of them will break, but once you've got them stuck on and all the water dries, you're going to want to take some watered down Elmer's and paint the whole shield with that watered down Elmer's. And that's how I got those to stick. And then once you clear coat them, those transfers aren't going to turn yellow and they're not going anywhere. Anyway, as you can see, I got some of the 1996 skeletons in there as the banner and musician. I have 21. I'm waiting for the right auction to buy 9 more, essentially. I don't want to spend too much money. I can get 10 right now for 75. I feel I can do a little bit better because I know I got 10 of them for 50. And that's about where I want to be. Let's not kid ourselves. I don't want to spend... I know that there are some guys out there that think these are worth a lot of money, but they're not. These were in circulation for a very, very long time. And the one thing I really like about these models is that they are very reminiscent of guys in the later 1300s at the beginning of the 100 Years' War. This is what their equipment would have looked like. A lot of this kind of shield and everything, and the helmets, the shoulder pads, the mail armor. As you get towards Agincourt and everything, knights were getting rid of their shields because of full plate. But in any case, this is the Graveguard Regiment, and beware the transfers. They can get a little pricey, but they're totally worth it once you get it on there. It gives them a look. I swear to God, it just really gives them a look like, oh, you know these guys are bad news. I don't think I'll do any transfers on the 1996 skeletons themselves, but I am going to do some, maybe, for some of the knights. I don't know. I need to figure out how I'm going to get the Knights of the Black Grail into this kind of scenario that I'm doing here. In any case, all I can tell you is that I spent like $30 in an auction to win a shit ton of these old Vampire Counts transfers. And that's one of those things that's useful that Games Workshop doesn't do anymore. I wish they still made transfers for factions like Vampire Counts, Bretonia, and you could get those because some of those transfers would be 100% useful. Other than that, I want to get down to Project Zero. There are some projects I don't have time for, like getting to the ships for Firestorm Armada. I had to send those out to be commissioned. I can't, you know, I think a good hobbyist, I'm an eccentric, so I think a good hobbyist knows when he's licked and he's like butter spread too thin over too much bread. Like, I don't have any more butter left in my pot, so yeah, you bet your ass I'm going to have somebody paint those up, because it's not a project. Science fiction isn't a project that I normally do. It's not something that I normally do. I really want to get to these Parliament sniper stands. They're actually part of that 180. I made an order to Perry Brothers. I still have a bunch of 100 Years War horsemen that I can make. They just need horses. So, and I also ordered 9 horses since I'm playing Bretonnia now for some reason. Wonder why. Just kidding. Thank you, Mike. Because I want to go through the campaign of these 3 scenarios with my friend Bradley, and I've actually taken to writing a journal. So in the next battle report, I'm going to have the journal of Jacques of Moussillon, and he's the paladin that was in charge of that battle, and he basically talks about the battle from his perspective, and then he talks about how it's his responsibility to kind of figure out where the Red Duke is going to go from there next in Bretonnia. And I've kind of made it up that the Red Duke is going to go and try and resurrect a limper. I mean, the Hangman. Now, the Hangman is this necromancer that was once his disciple. And since Grail Knights live for about the same amount of time as a Numenorian, Jacques talks about his grandfather, Francois the Righteous, a Grail Knight of fearsome ability, who severed the arm of the Hangman above the wrist. They were able to take that arm, take the bones inside of that arm, give them to an Empire wizard, and he was able to fashion those into arrows. And then they gave those arrows to a peasant archer by the name of Guy Charos, and he stuck one of those arrows through his chest, and it turned the Hangman to stone. And now he's going to go and try to resurrect the Hangman. And the Hangman is known for his fearsome ability to summon the undead. And he writes in his journal about how if I can stop him from resurrecting the Hangman, that will stunt the growth of his army exponentially. So is he going to? Is he going to be able to? He wants to kind of avoid a decisive battle with him, but stop him from resurrecting him and keep him chased, and maybe chase him into the Empire. And I think that's a good way to end the story. In any case, I don't have anything else to say. As you know, YouTube has many features you can use to interact with me. You can like the video, dislike the video, comment, or subscribe. Until I see you again, make sure you ain't simping, but pimping. And don't be that guy out there chasing hoes harder than Tom chases Jerry. And stay metal, my friends.
I'm more of an expert at exposing the moon. Get out of your telescope! See if you find the one crater.